I call to order the Planning Commission, regular session, Cape Charles Civic Center, 500 Tazewell Avenue, May 2nd, 2023. Roll call, please.
Grossman present.
McCoy present.
Strube present.
Holloway present.
Let it be shown that we have established a quorum. I ask everybody at this time to stand as we have a moment of silence followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. Join me in the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag
Of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
You may be seated. Item 3 on the agenda is a consent agenda. Does anyone object to approval of the consent agenda? Hearing no objection, the consent agenda will be taken by unanimous consent. Item 4, public hearings. Cape Charles Planning Commission will hold a public hearing on Tuesday, May 2nd, 2023 at 6 p.m. in the Cape Charles Civic Center, 500 Tazewell Avenue, to receive comments on the following requests. A conditional use permit application from Liquor Distillation Society, LLC, at 1 Fig Street, tax map number 83A3-1-534, in the Commercial 2, C2 zoning district for 3 single-family dwelling units located on the second floor above commercial space pursuant to Cape Charles zoning ordinance section 3.7, Boleg C. B, conditional use permit application from Cape Marine Services LLC at 6 Mason Avenue, tax map number 83A3-A-5 in the Harbor zoning district to operate a paid parking lot on 72,000 square feet, approximately 22.3% of the total lot size of 322,498 square feet, pursuant to Cape Charles zoning ordinance section 3-9, Bolegs E, Bolegs 7, Bolegs F. Said request is seeking a one-time seasonal approval until September 5th, 2023, with relief from the landscaping requirements contained in Cape Charles zoning ordinance section 4.5, Bolegs J. At this time, the planning zoning administrator will give a summary. We'll start off with the A first.
Sure. As you indicated, this is from the Liquor Distillation Society, LLC. You may know this address better as the Kellogg Building location at the corner of Fig and Mason. We have been working with this applicant for over a year now relative to what's going on at that property. They are seeking and working actively towards a readaptive or an adaptive reuse of the existing building into a restaurant space. They are adding additional square footage to the premises. They did increase the lot size by the acquisition of the adjacent parcel directly behind that building, directly on Mason Avenue. And with that addition of land, they are looking to do an addition onto the premises as well. With that comes a second story proposed for that, and they are seeking to add some rental space up there, specifically an accessory dwelling space on the second floor. 3 in particular. They are already approved for 1, which this town approved actually to the prior owner of the property, and that still exists today. So they're looking for a total of 4 accessory dwelling units. They're really not called accessory dwelling units. They are called single-family dwellings under our commercial district designation on that premises. As part of that, they've indicated in that space allocation that they would have bathrooms for each of the units would have their own self-contained bathroom kitchen space with it, and some limited stores. They're not large units, They're anywhere from 150 square feet to 198 square feet in each of those units, and they have indicated in their application that these would be used for housing of the staff for the restaurant space. Within their site plan, they've also indicated with that additional lot that they acquired, they would provide 4 parking spaces on the lot that would be associated again for those residential units. And we've included the site plan for your consideration. We wanted to also just remind people, or if they're not aware of this, to bring it to their attention. The town was approached back in 2017, again by the prior owner of the property, for a variance, providing full relief of the off-street parking requirements associated with a restaurant commercial on this parcel. That was approved by the Board of Zoning Appeals. So we just want to make it really clear to everyone that the restaurant itself does not have to address parking needs on its property itself for the restaurant use. I think that covers the basics of the application. I will stop unless there's any direct questions. Otherwise, I will open the floor potentially to any public comment that we may receive on the first application.
And just so make it clear, the one upstairs that was approved is going to be divided into 3, and the 4th one that goes with an extension, that's yet to come, is that right?
No, actually, one unit was already approved by the town, and so that continues. So all they needed to apply for was 3 additional ones. They're looking to have a total of 4 upstairs, 4 single-family dwellings.
3 over the commercial property and 1 with the extension.
It's all commercial. It's all
Okay.
within that whole alignment of land. I'm
Oh.
really not distinguishing whether it's part of the addition or under the existing structure.
Okay,
They are doing a reconfiguration of that entire square footage upstairs that's there
Okay.
today and what's gonna be added to it.
okay, thank you.
Yes. So
Other
it'd be a
questions?
total of 4.
Other questions from commissioners?
So from what I gathered, looking at the documentation, the 4 parking spaces is that additional land that was acquired,
Yes,
and it's strictly for these 4 residential areas?
yes.
Right, okay.
I'll hold comments until after.
Okay.
Bill, did you have any questions? Bill Ashworth?
No, ma'am.
So if you wanna open the public
Okay,
hearing.
so we'll open the public hearing. What about the applicant or designated rep? We have an applicant or designated
I
rep?
do
here?
not see them here yet at this time. It doesn't mean they won't be forthcoming when you get into further deliberations this evening, or we can talk about that. But we can go ahead and hold the public hearing.
Okay, so do we have, for this one?
Henry, these are for the parking lot.
Okay, so there's nobody here for this one? Okay, thank you.
So
So there are no public comments, so sta-
By the noise, it's gonna be a distillery, are they gonna have,
no, it's not a distillery.
okay,
It's just that's just the name of, it's just the name of
for an ABC license, is that all it's for? Or is it gonna be, they gonna make?
it's a restaurant. It's a restaurant.
But I'm saying, are they gonna make it like the brewery and the one downtown?
No,
No.
no, no.
Where they're gonna have music and stuff?
I don't,
I have rental property close by, and I don't want people to be disturbed with young kids.
If I may,
It's-
Mr. Chairman, just to speak on that issue, so again, this application, this public hearing is associated with the residential units
Right.
being proposed above, nothing to do with the restaurant. The restaurant is a by right use in that zoning district. It is intended to be a Japanese slash steak.
Sushi.
Sushi, steakhouse type restaurant. Will they have a bar component and serve alcohol? I believe that's every intention. Will they have music, whether that be live music? That I do not know. And that would be a question to pose to the owners of the property, but it is not subject to this public hearing.
thank you. All right, so the planning and zoning administrator has given us comments. And so, do we have any final comments for the commissioners?
I'd like to finish the public hearing on both issues. and
Oh,
then get
on both
into
issues.
our new new items is then to take it up as an issue.
So I just need a motion to close the public,
Well,
Oh,
I'll
we
make a
still have
motion
B,
to
though.
close public
Hearing for
hearing
A.
for 1 Fig.
Second?
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carries. All right. So number
Number two.
2.
So again, this is at 6 Mason Avenue. I know everyone's not certain where that address is. 6 Mason is known as the large vacant lot on Mason Avenue across from the harbor or on the harbor. It's been known as the Tobby property. It's been known for the clamming operations from last summer. It's currently owned by a company called Cape Marine Services LLC, which is owned by John Kemp. The applicant for today's meeting is William Diaz, more affectionately known as Smitty. So with that said, what they are seeking is a conditional use permit at this address to operate a paid parking lot on 72,000 square feet, or approximately about 22 or 23% of the total lot size allocated for that parcel. We did, from a staff, roughly go out there and try and stake it for you to get a sense of where that would be. I may be off by a little bit, but we wanted to give everybody an idea of what that could look like. When he first approached me with this concept, we looked through the ordinance to see if this is possible and some of the requirements associated with it. So I am the one that suggested that he look for a potentially seasonal request, a seasonal conditional use permit to this board. So if there is creativity and judgment assigned to this, throw it on me, not the applicant. I'm the one trying to figure out how do we really not alter that landscape unless we know this is gonna be a good fit? And meaning, you don't wanna put down lots of asphalt, you don't wanna put down lots of infrastructure if we really don't think that's where we're going.
Yeah.
So, with that said, we are looking for a seasonal application here, a seasonal permit. But we also felt, as part of that, we need to seek a waiver from some of the landscaping requirements that are outlined in our ordinance. And so we've walked and talked through this in the staff report, so I just want to take a few minutes to walk through that, if I may. I can't see where to accept her. If you would come handle that, Alice, for me, please. Do what you need to. Okay. So again, in the application, it indicated there would only be one trash can provided at the entrance, because I know that was one of the questions, exactly where would be the entrance onto this property. It would be directly located against, is it Harbor? Sorry, I've now lost my train of thought. Mason and across from Harbor, thank you. I wanted to make sure I was correct in saying that. So that is the intent, and that is my recommendation, that that would be the primary and only and sole source of ingress and egress onto that lot. I feel that there should be some additional trash can, or ensuring that there is trash pickup associated with it, or trash can associated there for whatever trash your people parking may bring onto and off of the lot. The application also states that the lot will be for daily paid parking only from 8 a.m. to dusk, that they would place signage that reads, park at your risk, and any vehicles on the property after dusk will be subject to towing at the owner's expense. And again, I think those are great elements that he brought out in his application itself, and so again, I would attach that, if you should find favorable recommendations for this, that should be part of those recommendations. So it's really clear that this lot would not be utilized as long-term parking nor overnight parking either. I'm happy to go into some of my more detailed recommendations, but that gets you the overview of this application for the public hearing purpose tonight.
So we have an applicant or a designated agent.
That's good enough.
Would you like to have any comments?
I'll just wait until it actually comes up during the meeting, if that's okay with you.
All right,
I don't really have anything,
okay.
except I appreciate Kate's creativity helping me through this.
We have any, commissioners have any comments right now?
I was
Okay.
curious about, I guess it's a single entryway for this. Is there gonna be any kind of security there to make sure it's complied with? for instance? Like, for instance, if this is intended for passenger vehicles, is it gonna accommodate things like tractor trailers? Is it gonna accommodate very large mobile homes, and that type of thing? Or is it strictly gonna be for passenger cars or passenger trucks?
I think that's a question for discussion here because
Okay.
it was, there's been some concern about RVs, trailers with boats, you know, that kind of stuff.
Right.
So,
Yeah, okay.
I think we did have someone signed up to speak at this public hearing.
We have two people. Henry Harris, 159.
okay, so on the public hearing, you have 3 minutes to talk. So the first one, please come up here and state your name and your address.
Thank you all. My name's Henry Harris. I own property on 150 Mason Street, which is right above Cohonic. I'm the condominium that looks out over this parking area. My concern is this: is this the best use of the property? You have green space right now, put a parking lot right next to the water. I wonder if that really is the best use of this space. But to be fair, I'm a part, I live in Norfolk, and I do this place part-time. I don't want to interfere with commercial endeavors here in the city. However, I really wonder about, it reminds me of a great song back in the 70s, you build a parking lot and put it in a tree. I just really wonder about this. And going on, given the parking lot goes forward, I have real concern about the landscaping that goes with this. Are we going to be subject to looking at these cars go in and out, walking on the street, people walking on the beach, seeing these cars going in and out? So those are landscaping plans that you put in effect before this motion is voted upon. So those are my two questions. I understand, I think Katie, I talked to you earlier, and I know this is a seasonal operation, which I'm happy to hear. And so my last question would be, what metrics are going to be used to see whether this is successful or not? One, from a monetary standpoint, and two, from an aesthetic standpoint, is the proper use at the end of the year? Was this a good experience? I'm curious what kind of metrics you're going to use to see whether this is a proper use of the space. And I hope that you're going to be very specific so the owner is protected too, so it's not too subjective. But I am concerned about that. So those are my comments. Thank you.
Thank you. Next.
There's one other one, Robert Reeves.
I was just worried about the parking there, because I have to park on the street in my lot. And I also worry about the noise. I'm not opposed to the restaurant part. I'm just worried about the noise, if they were gonna have bands and things there.
That's, okay.
Something else.
Did he sign up for the,
He's got for parking and noise.
Noise,
okay, well, the parking is on Mason Avenue,
yeah.
down by the,
But I'm very
oh,
close
okay.
to them. I'm
All right.
half a block
Well, this
away.
is just parking, so there's not going to be,
I'm sorry, what's your
I think
address?
that's-
You didn't,
654 Randolph.
Six
It's-
five-
It's right
thank
next to
you.
the real estate office.
okay.
We're talking
no,
two
see,
different
see,
things.
we're talking two different things. We talked to Kellogg Building, which is right around the corner from where you live. Now we're talking about down across from the Northampton Hotel.
That I'm not worried about.
Yep, that's what this is about. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Good catch.
Make a motion that we close the public hearing for 6 Mason.
Second?
Okay, we have a motion and a second to close the public hearing. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. All right. So, commissioners.
We have public comments next.
No, we don't.
5.
Oh, yeah, we do. I'm sorry. All right, number 5, citizen comment period for any item not subject to an advertised public hearing. Do we have any? We don't have any?
No, okay.
Number 6, unfinished business. Discussion regarding possible zoning ordinance amendment submitted by Cape Charles Main Street. So,
In your packet, I included a staff report regarding this. I'd received a request from the Cape Charles Cape Charles Main Street Executive Director Karen Zamorsky, because she had asked me some questions about our sign regulations and some desire from the Main Street community trying to make certain areas of our Main Street or Mason Avenue / side streets off of Mason Avenue a little more attractive in its features. And so she talked to me about seasonal lights and maybe those lights not just being associated with the Christmas season, but could they be installed to occur on a more frequent basis. So with that said, I included the text of her email communication to me and her request that they'd be looking to add lights to the trees that run up and down Mason Avenue. And they did this not only for the decorative holiday aspects, but also to light the pathway to let people know there were more places to explore outside of a 1 or 2 block area, to help our business community get more foot traffic, to help alleviate safety concerns for people who hesitate to walk in unlit areas, and to help illuminate areas that are potentially dangerous from a physical safety aspect when walking after dark. And this is being brought to your attention because specifically in our sign ordinance, relative to things in lighting, we prohibit this sort of sign / lighting aspect.
There's no flash involved here.
There is no flashing involved, but our ordinance was really specific on this.
Yes.
I'm sorry, I can't
Yes.
locate it
Yeah.
fast enough.
Yeah.
but-
it says,
Thank you. I've got too
I'm
many
not discounting,
papers in
I'm
my
not
hand.
discounting that. Yes, right.
So with that said, she did provide a rendering of what that could look like over on Strawberry Street, so you would have an idea of this.
right.
So again, since we are going through the zoning ordinance amendments now, and again, I'm not coming to you with a specific proposal beyond what she's asked for, and I'm not trying to debate what that language should look like. If you are favorable to it, I am just trying to get a pulse of you, of if you are interested for me to explore this a little further.
One of the things that Karen brought to your attention was that at least one individual had to have medical attention because of the poor lighting. That to me says there's a need.
so Strawberry Street is definitely dark at night. And it was even dark this past Festive Fridays, and that's when that incident occurred, because the curbs are cut high there. And there's just no lights. However, I will tell you right now that she has approached the people that put the lights up for the trees. And they said that because of the overhead wiring there, that they could not connect down there from building to building.
On Strawberry?
Yeah, because of the overhead wiring. Now, they did say that a request had been put into ANEC to see if they could use those 2 telephone poles to string lights.
And I'm not disputing there may be operational issues, but right now it's a flat no because of zoning alone.
Right.
And so really the question is, do you
True.
want to open up and have zoning be more permissive for such a request of this nature? And that's really where I am today. This is not saying that we're approving this lighting at Strawberry Street.
Right.
It's a
Right.
request and to see if we would like to amend our zoning ordinance and if you'd like me to do some work on that.
Okay.
Go ahead, Mike.
You said seasonal. What is the season?
It would not be restricted to a season. And so, again, our current ordinance, and sorry, I wasn't quite prepared. So under section 4.1 of the sign regulations, which are all the prohibited signs that we say in our ordinance.
Okay.
Right.
You go to number 12,
Right.
we prohibit illuminated tubing or
Right,
strings of
right.
lights solely for the purpose of illumination, except when displayed as decorations during the holiday season. This includes any lighting arrangements which outlines any portion of a building or structure by exposed tubing or strings of light. So that's what our ordinance says today. You
Okay.
cannot have this type of lighting. You can do it for Christmas. You could do it if you were a community that decorated a lot
Yeah.
for Halloween.
But,
But come April,
right,
not,
okay.
no.
So, but to follow on from there, the focus was on Strawberry Street, and with daylight savings and everything, nighttime really doesn't begin until after 8 PM. Are there any commercial establishments that remain open after 8 PM on Strawberry? I know this would help for restaurants, I know that they do throughout the town, but on Strawberry Street, are there restaurants that would benefit from such lighting?
I don't know.
Okay.
I have not done that particular research. That's the point of this request, is to
That would
see
be
if
my,
you'd like
my,
me to do
my,
that exploration.
my question, because that, I mean, it's easy to picture night, but that only happens from a commercial standpoint at a limited amount of time, okay. Who was that?
Shannon.
Oh,
We can hear you, Shannon. We
Sure.
are trying to adjust the sound here. We have you in a bit of an echo chamber, and I don't know if I'm gonna be able to fix that, but keep going. So you think this is beneficial to not just the residents of that area, but potentially to any visitors to the businesses as well?
Yeah, I think it's not just businesses, but residents, and also the streets, I think, look more importantly, there's all three of us a letter from the letter, like, those do exist, I'd like to learn more about what happens there. So I would like to hear more about what we possibly do.
So you'd like to learn a little bit more about this?
Yes.
Okay. Sorry for the echo chamber. We're still working on sound issues here, as you can see.
And Katie, this is Bill. Can you hear me?
Yes.
yes, so,
You're still doing that echo. I'll go now so as to, make sure that Shannon might put that hopefully try to get this echo out of the way quickly. So I agree. I'd like to see this looked at a little bit more. I'm afraid sort of two issues based upon the letter that I saw. The first is, I told folks that, I've been down that street on Strawberry Street. I've seen the curves on how treacherous they can be. I don't know how closely we work with EDOT on repairing those curves and making them more safe. So I'd like to find out as we go through this process, who's responsible for that? Because I think even if we have lights there year round, I don't think that's going to entirely address the safety concerns that are outlined in that letter. And I don't think we should be under any illusions that just having year-round lighting is going to alleviate those safety concerns entirely. So I'd like to see that I'd like to hear a little bit more about what more we can do around those safety concerns. And then the second thing is, as far as amending the statute is concerned, my guess is that we would want to strike out, I know we're not doing that at this time, I know we would want to strike out the language that when displayed as decorations for the holiday season, we want to maybe eliminate it entirely. But in your opinion, Katie, will there still be some sort of guidelines around the type of lighting that we will allow year-round? I'm guessing that the answer to that question is going to be yes, and I'm assuming that's going to be part of the ongoing discussion on this issue. Thanks.
So hopefully we help solve the echo a little bit by turning down one of the TVs. I think I've not done as much research as I would care to, because this really is, do you want me to do the research? Do you want me to spend the time to do some work on this to see what the options might be? Our sign regulation, which is where this is sitting, we don't have a full-blown lighting section of our ordinance. It's less than maybe 4 sentences long, our lighting section is. So this just naturally got thrown here into the sign regulations. I'll tell you that to begin with. And so when you go look at this, if we want to allow it in some limited instances, or what those conditions might be, that's sort of the research I would need to do to see how you'd like to apply them for. I do concur with some of the comments expressed. That sort of seasonal, above the building kind of lighting doesn't really provide the appropriate illumination you're needing for security of walking on the streets, curbing, etc. That sounds like we definitely need to raise that, and I'm sure it's been raised before with the town as a whole, the town manager, town council, and being considered as part of a greater landscape plan or management plan for that commercial corridor. So I don't want anybody to walk away thinking, oh, this would be a great solution to solving some of those issues. I think it does help bring attention to a commercial corridor that is not adequately lit now, and somewhat shines when the nighttime comes around, just because people may not be aware there are businesses over here and open. And so I think that's the intent of the request coming from the Main Street community, or the Main Street organization, was trying to figure out a way to bring greater attention to that commercial corridor. So am I prepared to say the way it's pitched is perfect? No. But if you're interested and want me to work on this a little bit more, I will.
I would say yes.
I think it would be.
So Bill, was that a yes from you? Bill?
Yes, that's a yes for me, of course. Hats off, yes for me, and hats off to the Main Street staff for initiating the seasonal lighting idea.
Yeah, so from my perspective, I think it's a good idea to proceed, but we need some boundaries placed on it. You know, I can see lights across Strawberry, I can see it all down Mason, you know, in addition to the trees. There's gotta be restrictions and boundaries placed on it before.
Sure. And it could be any district, it could be any street. This, because right now, your sign ordinance covers all districts.
Right, that's
And so, yes, there would have to, as I said, I'd have to work on a proposal back to you to
right, okay.
try and address some of the concerns you've expressed.
Okay. I'm in favor.
Yeah.
You're in favor?
Yes, right,
I
yes,
am in
yes,
favor.
yes.
You're in favor?
Yeah, the lighting on Strawberry is inadequate in general, that's a true statement.
Okay. And Shannon, you're in favor?
Shannon's,
Yes, in favor.
Okay, so,
Okay. You've got your,
thank
thank
you.
you. Thanks, Katie.
Number 7, new business. A, conditional use permit application from Liquor Distillation Society LLC at 1 Fig Street, tax map number 83A3-1-534 in the Commercial 2, C2 zoning district for 3 single-family dwelling units located on the second floor above commercial space pursuant to Cape Charles zoning ordinance section 3.7, Boleg C. Comments?
Mr. Chairman, I have a couple questions, comments. Since we don't have a full set of design drawings, I just have a couple things relative to zoning. Since there is new construction on the second floor, is the 35-foot height limitations met?
Yes. They will not exceed them. Yes.
All right, the other thing was with regards to setbacks, I see a patio abutting the back property line, but that doesn't require a 5-foot setback.
That's correct, because it's in the commercial.
And we have a 10-foot from the side. This is an odd situation as to what the front is.
The front is frontage on Fig Street. The lots have been
On Fig.
combined,
Right.
so there's
So
one
there's 10
parcel
foot,
now.
there's 10 foot in the back with their new construction to their rear property line.
Yes.
Okay, that's, glad you clarified the 4 apartments that are reflected. The last thing I had was, is the applicant okay with the no short-term rentals?
They were told that was going to be in my recommendation.
Did they have a reaction to that?
They understood I'd be making that recommendation. I'm unclear why they're not present this evening.
Okay, all right. That's all I have.
Thank you. Others?
These 4 residential properties, they will meet the same kind of criteria that we've previously seen for accessory dwelling units in terms of sleep, place to sleep, place to cook, restroom, right? Is
Yes
that-
and, yes and no.
Okay.
And when I say that, they are not classified as an accessory dwelling unit. They are single-family residences under our ordinance similar to any other approvals you have done in the past for any residential above commercial on Mason Avenue. So they will meet those same requirements to meet the definition of a single-family dwelling.
Got it.
Yes.
Okay, thanks.
Which do include all of those elements you just listed.
Okay.
Yes.
Anybody else? Bill or Shannon, do you have any comments?
No, not for me, thank you.
So again, for the board's consideration, I did provide a staff recommendation in my report that I would recommend a requirement that the town has established for the accessory dwelling unit specific to the minimum lease term of no less than 30 days. I would hope that you would make that a condition of any recommendation you do.
Right.
Yeah. All right.
So, Mr. Chairman, I'll make a recommendation that we recommend to town council to approve the CUP 2023-001 conditional use permit for now a total of 4 single-family dwelling units above the first floor commercial at the site, and add the condition that the minimum lease term for the units are no less than 30 days.
Second.
I'll second.
All right, so we have a motion and a second for the conditional use permit, CUP 2023-001 for 4 single-family dwelling units above first floor commercial space with a minimum lease term of no less than 30 days be assigned to the residential units. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It's unanimous?
I'd just like to make a comment to Mr. Streets, is that in the application, there is a floor plan, should you so desire to go to the town website and look at the planning commission package. And it will show you the layout of this particular building and where the bar and rooms are, so.
I lived here for 77 years, I know it by heart.
All right, good.
I knew it wasn't the cars, it was just.
Well, now it's gonna turn into a restaurant.
Okay, moving on to new business, item 7B, a conditional use permit application from Cape Marine Services LLC at 6 Mason Avenue, tax map number 83A tax map number 83A3-A-5 in the Harbor Zoning District to operate a paid parking lot on 72,000 square feet, approximately 22.3% of the total size of the lot size of 322,498 square feet pursuant to Cape Charles zoning ordinance 3-9, Bowlegs E, Bowlegs 7, Bowlegs F. Said request is seeking a one-time seasonal approval until September 5th, 2023, with relief from the landscaping requirements contained in the Cape Charles zoning ordinance section 4.5, Bowlegs J. Okay. Comments?
Just a minor correction, I think it's a correction, on page 5 of the staff analysis, it talks about it being supportive of a permit to expire on June 5th, 6/5/23. I think it was 9/5.
Sorry, yes.
Yeah, that's what I thought, that's what I just, okay.
Just to remind you, Mr. Chairman, the applicant present this evening indicated his willingness to defer speaking until he could talk with you at length with any questions you may have. So if you'd like to hear from him.
So I just want to have, I have a question. So they still have to be, they have to be pursuant with the zoning ordinance section 3-9 E7F, right?
Give me a second to catch up, so I don't know where you're reading from.
But it's in the permit application.
In the permit application. Oh, in the general regulations, in that zoning district, yes. So, if I may, because I didn't really delve into the landscaping components of our zoning ordinance, and there are overlapping sections that govern landscaping requirements for this. So if I could just take a minute to walk through this. So, under 3.9, as you started to talk, which is the zoning district it's in, which is Harbor, it states that, it's a conditional use permit that he is seeking. This is a use identified called off-site parking that is applicable through a conditional use permit, which is a hearing for the planning commission and then on to the town council for their final action. As part of that, I wanted to make it really clear what is defined as off-site parking is defined in our ordinance. It says parking provided for a specific use but not located on a site other than the one on which the specific use is located. I felt it was relevant to also make you aware we do define parking lot or parking garage as an area or building designed and designed for the temporary storage of vehicles. So I think this wholly meets those two definition classifications, and this is an appropriate application for a conditional use permit. However, within this, there's a whole section under the general regs of what we call Article 4 that's applicable to all of our zoning districts. Specific in section 4.5, which deals with parking lots. And that has a whole slew of how you design a parking lot and what should be your size of your, each alley or corridor as you drive down, and your landscaping that should be associated with that. So that is what he is seeking relief from as part of his application process. There were also some other provisions that I think we shouldn't just lump into a similar waiver consideration for, which is under section 4.4 landscaping and screening regulations, which are the general requirements as a whole, which says landscaping shall be required in all commercial and industrial districts. And it walks through that, and it does talk about all parking lots shall be screened and landscaped from adjoining properties or every other use in zoning district. And then it talks about, again, some additional vegetation requirements associated with such. I just wanted to make you aware of all this because this parcel is very uniquely situated. It's in the harbor, in harbor zoning, which is a mix of commercial and could be residential use as well. It's a bunch of uses that could happen in the harbor district. It's also in the Chesapeake Bay Act, although within our Chesapeake Bay Act ordinance, it has been designated an intensely developed area, an IDA area, which does give it some relief from some of those requirements of the Chesapeake Bay Act, but not all of those requirements. It gets very nuanced as we go through that review and consideration. And so in my recommendation to you as I've walked through this, I don't think a full waiver of any landscaping provisions is in our best interest here if we are interested in pursuing some favorable recommendation for this use. I think there needs to be some moderate screening, could be done on a temporary basis, could be through some potted plants of some nature, any number of ways that we could address that and potentially seek the applicant to submit back to us a concept plan associated with that. But I definitely think hearing from the applicant on both the operations and the landscaping requirements and usage of the lot as a whole would be appropriate at this time before you fully weigh in and at least give you a chance to ask any additional questions you may have of him.
I have an additional question. Is this going to be an unmanned facility?
In his application, they indicated they would have an attendant, but I think, again, the applicant can answer that more specifically.
That's fine. That's fine.
Was there in the application, I didn't see it in the application, the actual parking surface?
Right now, again, part of this, that's why I came up with the concept of seeking a seasonal, because there is an allowance in your zoning ordinance that allows for, I hate the term, but it's in there, grasscrete. So that it provides the zoning administrator the ability to look at alternate materials instead of having to look at a full paved surface of concrete or asphalt. And especially at this location, that may not be the most desirable sort of surface we really want there with runoff issues associated with that. And that's of concern from a Chesapeake Bay monitoring situation.
Right.
So I would be supportive, that's why I felt a trial run basis would be something, if we're interested in pursuing this option, a trial one would be a good thing to allow us to keep the grass surface still there without looking at a pavement of any kind, moving to an impervious surface at this point in time, because that deals with stormwater retention, runoff, and some other considerations, so that's how I approached, at least let's go to public hearing and get the pulse from the public at large, what's their take on a paid parking lot?
Right. Thanks.
Okay. So, would you like to address this at this time? And
I absolutely would. Mr. Chairman,
thank you.
Commissioners, how you doing? My name is William Dyes, also known as Smitty by everybody. I'm the general manager for Cape Marine Services LLC by Oasis Marinas, which I'm here tonight to represent Mr. Kemp, which actually owns the lots on Mason Avenue. I'd like to thank Katie for taking the time and walking me through the steps for this. Most of everybody in town knows I'm pretty much a creative thinker, so just kind of come about, that property is I've made dirty money a few years and really trying to make clean money. So I'm just trying to be creative on how to do that. As being mayor for the town for 4.5 years, I know there's a parking issue. So I figured we would do a trial basis. That's the reason why we asked for just help me out, Katie.
Seasonal.
A seasonal,
Yeah, we asked for a seasonal, typically start Thursday, if all of this goes through, we would like to start Thursday before Memorial Day weekend and then on Labor Day. We'll be staffed, we're in the process now of refixing all the fence on Grinder property, they got to up from the fireworks debacle last year. The only night it may run past, which we will have staff and lights on premises, would be 4th of July. If there was additional parking for fireworks, that would be the only night that they would run past us. We're prepared to hire staff to be there while it's open. We're prepared to put a chain across it when it's closed. We're not subject to shutting down any operations that might happen dockside. We will work around that. If it's raining, we will not open the parking lot. We do not want to tear up our home. I know Katie will got some pots and stuff, and I can work with her on that, but, I'm like time, businesses does all their eyes on everything, and I can tell you right now, for 100 days, my staff cost will be $1,200, my software for the phone and then the signs and the umbrellas and all that's gonna be another $1,500. That's $2,340 cars, 2,340 cars at $5 a car a day, which is 23.4 cars a day. I tack on another $10,000 for lanterns and trees, and I know, what the zoning ordinance is a tree over 10 square feet, I think it is, there's a shrub in between it. You're looking at $10,000 to $15,000 for trees and shrubs. That brings me up to $21,700, that's 4,340 cars for the season, at 43.4 cars a day, and the ROI does not support that. So we just really wanted to help the town, open it up, put somebody there. We might get 5 cars, we might get no cars, we don't know what we're gonna get. Nobody has paid parking on Eastern Shore. They pay for it, they go across the page, you introduce something like that to Eastern Shore, Virginia, they're like, oh no, we don't do that, and you all know it, anybody that's lived here. And so, we don't know, it might work, it might just be holiday weekends, it might be just weekends, it might be 7 days a week. We opted for the 7 days a week because it might be, but we don't know, we have no clue. It might be 1 car, it might be 10, and we might, I think she figured out it's like 80 total, is that what you said? To answer Mr. Harris's question, no, sir, it's not the best use. I'll agree with you, but for right now, we're in the process of bringing something back, and you've all probably seen some sort of conceptual plan for that area, nothing official. Oasis Marinas, Cape Marine Services is hoping we can bring something official for time over the course of the winter. We're working on a project for time. We're just trying to make a little money off to help pay for that property that we pay the town. So, that's all we're trying to do. And I know, the railroad is put in here, there had egress and stuff like that, but we actually own that egress and ingress. The railroad has an easement to go through it. They are the only ones, as far as I know, that has an easement to use that, but we don't plan on using that, we plan on doing one way in, one way out.
You're talking about the one that's right across from the War Memorial, right?
So we don't plan on, as I said earlier, I'm pricing that fence now, we want the property to look nice. I've got weekly lawn care down there, we're trying to keep everything clean. You go to the boatyard, the yacht center on the other side of the harbor, and you'll probably see a considerable difference of what it was this time last year. Everybody that's known me, a clean tank's a happy tank, a clean boat's a happy boat, a clean whatever's a happy whatever. So I'm all about cleanliness and keeping things neat. Is trash, we plan on putting a receptacle out. If it requires two, we will put two. The person that's parking attendant will be picking up trash. That will be taken care of.
Questions?
Yeah, I had a couple, so we clarified no overnight, and you'd close at dusk except for, July 4th, so we'd have to address that in our conditions that we have, listed right now in the staff report. There's no overnight boat and trailer, which you've said.
That we will not, we have a place for that over on our side. We won't do that, we will not do anything overnight. The only thing, and it was brought up at RVs, this is for the beach goers. So if an RV shows up from a campground and wants to find West Park to go to the beach, to follow the same rules as the cars that's there. This is just for the beach goers only, or people walking Mason Avenue, or whatever. It's for people parking, but come 8 o'clock at night, I don't care what they are, they're out.
All right, so the question.
Moore's Towing will take them.
Question I had with RVs then is, can a person use their RV while it's parked there as the?
No, it's parking. It's parking, they're not gonna camp, they're not gonna, I know the camping laws in town, so it's none of that. They park, they get out of their car, they go do whatever, they leave by 8 o'clock.
All right,
We will monitor that.
we already talked,
I know that's an issue in town.
talked about 9.5 versus 6.5, so that's fine. Towing, how are you gonna conduct towing if a car is left there?
I've already, discussed this issue with Moore's Towing.
So you've got a contract with them, or you
Yeah,
just
I've
give?
actually got, I work with them at the yacht center on a regular basis.
So is the
I've actually
attendant,
slipped- Not mentioned his boat slips.
is the attendant gonna call the towing company?
Yes,
Okay, so
or
close,
myself.
so close the business, somebody will call towing and towing will come.
Yes. And more likely it'll be me there and not my attendant when the tow truck shows up,
Okay,
or my assistant manager.
all right. Landscaping requirements, the way I kind of view this is a temporary endeavor, and I'm not sure landscaping, in my mind, anything you put there is gonna be temporary anyway, depending on what eventually comes thereafter. So I'm not too crazy about item number 5 on our list of conditions there, submitting a landscape plan. That's my opinion, just since it's considered temporary. And then as far as Canoni, I'd almost like to just go through the list of questions there to make sure we're addressing their particular concerns. You talked about the planned ingress and egress, and can you just restate?
So the plan for ingress and egress is the entrance that's on Mason, across from Harbor Avenue.
Okay,
And the plan is to have, an attendant there. I plan on putting up an umbrella every day, or take it down in a chair. They'll also have a phone with a swipe, it's gonna be credit card only.
Right.
And they'll swipe the phone, and they go park, they'll get a tag, so that way we know, and they get told when it gets over. They will physically get told that, even though we'll have signs, they will physically get told that. when they park.
Okay.
So, the area where parking is gonna be undeveloped, they'll just be parking on the grass like now?
Yep, they're just gonna park on the grass, it's in the areas that
And-
she come to me last week and asked if she could come some stuff off, and I said, absolutely. So, roughly in that area.
Yeah. Whatever problems, rain and that sort of thing might cause?
I'll be open on rainy days, the
Oh,
parking
okay.
will not be open on rainy days. I don't
That's
wanna-
good to
I
know,
don't wanna
okay.
I wanna try to
Yeah.
not do as much damage, and create
Yeah.
a mud pit there. So if the grind's soft, we won't be open. It's
Yeah,
favorable conditions.
But I mean, personally, I mean, it seems like a pretty risky venture, but it could be very valuable in answering some of the questions about the parking, because like, I've been watching the beach parkers, and even on days that it's not entirely on Bay filled, a lot of people seem to use the side streets, and I don't know why that is, but maybe they could be drawn.
4th of July, as mayor, I had to park 3 blocks back to get to the
Yeah,
parade.
yeah. But, on given days, but in, you know, across the weekend. But the other, I think that's the main question.
Just to kind of give you an idea, on the conception plan, I don't know if you all saw it, I'm sure Mr. Strand may have, I'm
Do
sure
you-
Mr. Grossman. Everything on the conception plan where the pad goes was to the west of the driveway. There's really not a lot to the east.
Yeah.
So, in my letter to you guys is that if we intend to move forward with further, we will actually come back to you with an actual plan
Yeah.
that meets the code, that will actually have the paid parking, the runoff, everything else. It probably will be part of a much bigger plan.
Yeah.
But this is just a trial.
Have you-
Right.
And really, we know what it's gonna cost us just to do it if we run it for 100 days.
Yeah.
Any additional
And-
cost, it's really don't make
Any thought given to
it,
the,
don't make it worth my headache, I'll be honest with you.
to the target audience, beachgoers versus shoppers, just whoever shows up?
So, I will say this, we will do some working on Facebook, we'll let them know it's there. The signage, I just want y'all run for elections signs, you stick them in the ground during the day, parking ahead with an arrow pointing
Yeah,
up, parking here,
like I said.
straight parking here with an arrow pointing left, and maybe right from beach, and we take them up at the end of the day. At the end of the day, we change it all.
Could be a valuable experiment.
So I had one question that follow up with Commissioner Grossman. Truck comes in with towing a boat, but he wants to go to the beach, you know? So you gonna allow them to come in too?
Well, we've got an area of parking space, and if he does, we'll probably get charged for 2 or 3 parking spaces. We will allow it, but we've got an area, and I will really nail down the exact amount of cars we can put in there with Gabe. I think, did you send me somewhere around 80?
Yeah, and that's just using a typical car size.
Yeah,
So-
so let's just say if the boat comes in, this will take up 3 spaces,
Yeah.
now I'm down to 77. I mean, it's whatever the planning commission and council says we can park there, that's our max. So,
Okay, thank you. Did you ask any more questions here on Canoni there, Paul?
No, the other questions are relative to the entrance.
Yeah, and there's only one
Eastern
entrance.
Avenue Memorial
Yeah.
Memorial driveway, which is not, will the paid parking lots be available short-term, long-term? We've already answered
Yeah.
short-term.
Right.
And the types of vehicles authorized, boats, campers, trailers. they're
RVs.
all included.
Yep.
But not to be used
Right.
as,
They're only storage. Storage, you know where our storage area is. Again, we don't want to do anything to damage the property or make
Right.
the property look unsightly.
Right.
Like I said, I've got a landscaping company down there every week mowing the lawn, something that probably not happened too much in the past. So, we want the good neighbors to retain, and then at the same time, until we can get our actual plan done,
other questions of Mr. Dyes?
But from Shannon or Bill on the screen.
Bill, Shannon, you have any questions of Mr. Dyes?
I didn't hear anything about lighting. Is there gonna be lighting installed
Daylight.
for nighttime?
No.
I might have missed it.
No, ma'am, we're not doing any nighttime parking, so we will not have any lighting installed. We actually have lighting down there now, but, that blinds all the neighbors, it was there for the cameras. So we'll do our best to not use that lighting.
Good, yeah. Good, okay, thank you.
No questions from me, Kate, thank you.
Thanks, Mitty.
Thank you all very much.
Okay.
Thank
Question, Katie, just, given the fact that this is a temporary limited item, as it comes through the next go-around for whatever is being proposed, it's gonna have to meet all the ordinance requirements or be approached through a variance. Right?
Yes.
Okay.
And if I may, just because it got posed within the citizen comment period, so relative to metrics, I think it is a metrics on both sides of us that will both determine the viability of this as a business use on this property and how it is received within the community at large. If it really doesn't get well used, I doubt we're going to see an application be filed again. I think he's indicated through his application and what he stated tonight, the goal is hopefully we're going to see a much more comprehensive use of this property that will include a full-scale parking lot to service that larger commercial need being proposed on the property. I am not hinting that I know what that is at this point in time. I do not. But this is zoned harbor. It is prime real estate in a very desirable location. Would I be surprised by any application that comes forward that's allowed within our harbor district? Absolutely not.
And, no objections have been raised by anybody across the street that own properties nearby and,
Beyond what you heard this evening.
yeah, other than that,
Yes.
okay.
You have an opinion on the landscaping aspects that I had commented on?
Again, I threw that in there just so everybody's aware that that's still an issue and might be considered an eyesore from folks. But again, if you feel that we'd like to continue this as a seasonal use right now, as a one-time seasonal application, and leave it at that, I'm okay with that. So I just wanted to make you aware of all of the landscaping requirements, because we talk about landscaping in several spots in our ordinance. And when I first talked about this with the applicant, I focused on, specific to the design of a parking lot. I overlooked, when I talked with him, about the general requirements of the buffering between zoning districts.
Right.
So I didn't wanna at least bring it forward so everybody's aware that's one of the requirements in the ordinance moving into the future.
Yep.
All right, so,
Is Ann allowed to comment?
no, ma'am.
No, you had to sign up.
I'll make a motion, Mr. Chair.
Go ahead.
I'll make a motion that we support the limited seasonal conditional use permit that will expire 9/5/2023 with the following conditions. A waiver of landscape requirements of 4.5J and other paved parking requirements, considering this is a seasonal one-time permit. Sufficient trash receptacles are provided by the property owner and emptied on a regular basis at the expense of the property owner. The entrance and exit to the parking lots is from the center entrance on Mason, directly across from Harbor only. Approved and permitted signage indicating the hours from 8 to dusk, except for July 4th, and daily parking only, no overnight, and towing cars will be at the owner's expense. And that's where I end.
Second.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second on the conditional use permit at 6 Mason Avenue to expire on, a limited seasonal conditional use permit to expire on 9/5/2023. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? We have unanimous consent. Thank you. Next, item 8, report of officers and committees. I think we have. I can't get there. I don't have to think we have.
Page up. Scroll fast.
I wasn't aware of any reports from any of our officers or committees at this point in time, but I'm happy to move on to the standing staff reports if you're ready.
Okay, standing staff reports, planning and zoning administrator monthly report for April 2023.
Okay, so from a subdivision point of view, I had no items to report at the time of writing this report. I will make you aware that, as you all may be aware, town council has reached agreement with, Bay Creek, sorry, on the amendment to the annexation agreement. The significance of that is for the past year plus, we have actually paused all the significant new subdivision applications coming in until resolution could have been reached on the water and sewer obligations from a infrastructure capital needs perspective. With that agreement now reached in hand, I envision this might become a more active component of my report moving forward. Make you aware of that.
I'm sure, yeah.
Number 2, Board of Zoning Appeals does have a meeting this month. They're taking up an application for a parking variance application for 413 Jefferson Avenue. Specifically, this is a vacant lot currently. They have worked their way through the Historic District Review Board. They are proposing a new house, and they also would like an accessory structure with dwelling on the second story of that accessory structure. I will acknowledge just up front, just so you know this, when I did my review, I didn't catch the fact that you couldn't actually get a car back there. And I thought there was an alley back there. I was wrong. There is no alley back there. And so they are seeking now the parking variance for the one parking lot needed, or parking space needed for that ADU proposed.
For Board of Zoning Appeals, you had one that was tabled last meeting.
We are still waiting to hear from our attorney. They're
Okay.
working on that matter.
Right.
So for the Harbor Area Review Board, we just wanted to, again, keep you apprised of that board has now become more active. And so with that, they did a meeting on Monday, March 28th, relative to the Rosenwald School, and Town Council has since now heard that as well at their April 20th meeting. And they have approved it with the conditions recommended by the HARB. They also took up they had a meeting on April 10th for Cape Marine Services LLC to do a lease of some square footage on the parcel at 6 Mason Avenue for a bike, moped, et cetera, golf cart sales and rentals location. Town Council did not approve that application. So again, we've now set a regular meeting calendar for the Harbor Area Review Board, since it seems like we're going to be more active in and around the harbor and their jurisdiction. So we have now posted that on our website, and they've agreed to a set meeting date. Can I tell you what that is right this second? No, I cannot. But this will now become a component of my standing report from here on out.
Okay.
And that's all I have.
Thank you. 10, announcements. Next meeting, regular session, Tuesday, June 6th. Famous day, 2023. So, be the 81st anniversary of D-Day. No, 79th, I'm sorry. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
May I make a motion that we adjourn this
Second.
meeting and hearing?
Yeah, we have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Thank you all.